come ye, mother waters, I am diving into thee. Float me on your rivers and sing me with your sea. Oh, come ye, mother
Lough Neagh wasn't always where it is now. There wasn't always a lake there in the middle of Ulster. And how it was formed is a great tale indeed. Did you know it's named after something? It's named after a mighty king by the name of Ucky. And Ucky had a great palace in the heart of the valley that what Lough Neagh is now. He had a daughter, a beautiful girl by the name of Leigh. Leigh, she spent her days playing with her beautiful little lapdog, a small, yappy little thing. She spent her days in bliss, never having to worry about anything in her life. That is until one day, the earth beneath the palace cracked when water began to gush up through the palace stones, when she was forced to swim and swim for her life as the palace itself filled to the brim with water, as she heard the shouts and screams from the servants. Now, she managed to find herself a strange little place, a pocket of air. She stayed there, huddling her little dog close, watching as the landscape around her was filled and filled and filled with gallon after gallon, with litre after litre, with as much water as she'd ever seen before in her life. Now, the rivers in the local area, they fed their bounty into this new and brimming lake, and fish slowly began to colonize it. Salmon and trout swimming through the halls where kings and queens once walked. As the stones crumbled around, these new tourists, these guests, swam just within sight of poor Leigh. And occasionally she'd stick a hand out of that air pocket. She'd fish out a salmon or a cod or a trout, and that is what she would eat there with her little dog. Now, she stayed there for over a year, there in this small, cramped little place. And every day she prayed to her gods that they would make her like the salmons, that she would be able to swim freely. And one day, her cry was answered. She felt a sudden change coming upon her. She felt her legs twisting and knotting together. She felt a tail beginning to sprout. She felt fins appear upon her body, and now she was half woman, half salmon. She was a mermaid. She looked down in the water to see an otter swimming up to her, and she knew then that that was her little lapdog. Finally able to leave this strange little pocket of air she had inhabited, she began to go through these halls she had once called home. She looked around and saw the servants, their eyes perfectly closed. She looked around, but she couldn't find her father. She opened her mouth to call his name, and the most beautiful music came from her lips, a voice like no other she'd ever heard before, that she now seemed to possess. And so she'd spend her days in this new loch, singing the days away. She even explored a little further, swimming up the rivers out to sea, exploring and finding herself face to face with whales, with dolphins, with basking sharks. But every day she would return back to her home. She lived there in Lough Neagh for 300 years. Until one day, a boat came by and heard her singing. Now, it just so happened that the man on the boat was a holy man, but not a holy man of the religion she'd grown up with. And this man, he looked down at her, at the strange, odd river creature, and gave her a choice. It was revealed to him in a vision that she could spend another 300 years in this form of hers as a mermaid, swimming where she liked, going where she pleased. Or she could get eternal life in this new religion, if only he was allowed to baptize her. And so she agreed. She was baptized as Muirin, a seaborn, and her tail melted away. She became human once more, and she passed on into the next life. And what awaited Liban when her eyes finally closed, when 300 years of swimming finally caught up with her, I cannot say. But for a while afterwards at least,
Oh, come ye,
she was
mother
known as a saint,
waters, I am diving
perhaps
into
the only mermaid